Hello, everyone. So grateful for this opportunity to speak with you all today. Well, who would have guessed in January that 2020 would look like this so far? Firstly, I want to send all my thoughts, love and compassion to all of you that have suffered in any way in these last few months. Whatever you've had to deal with and face, you're still here and you're probably stronger than you realised. However, I know what has happened for all of us this year is that our incredible Arbonne community has been strengthened even more than it was before. We've pulled together, we've supported each other, had lunchtime catch-ups, kept each other sane, had blitz sessions, book clubs, stayed connected. And I know now more than ever, you're probably more in love with this community than you ever thought possible. I am beyond grateful, and 12 years on, it still amazes me how I can come off a Zoom call and feel high on life no matter what I was feeling like before. So for those of you who don't know me, I'll start by telling you a little bit about my story. So I'm from Yorkshire, North England. At the age of 8, I went to watch Cats the Musical, and that was it. That night, my future career was decided there and then in the Bradford Alhambra. I wanted to be a professional dancer. And that's what I did for many years until in 2008, an injury brought an end to that career, unfortunately. So I just moved back to London. It was the summer of 2008. I was sat in a beer garden with a friend when I first heard the word that would change the rest of my life and thousands of others too. When I first heard about Arbonne, I just got it. It clicked. Something inside of me just knew this was it for me. I loved the sound of the products and the brand, but the business concept blew my mind. So my first year in business, you wouldn't describe as a rocket ship. It was more like a hot air balloon, just floating very slowly. I'd just come out of a profession that tears you down daily. Going to auditions, being brutally told why you're not good enough has an impact on you over time. So when I started my business, I had very low self-confidence. I was very apologetic about everything, overly sensitive, cared too much what people thought of me. Things weren't looking too positive for success in a business like this. So my first year in Arbonne was really a reflection of where I was at as a person. For 13 months, I didn't sell one product or register one consultant. 13 months. By this point, I got myself a full-time teaching job as a dance teacher. So I was working my business around this 70-hour week. I was so committed and all in with my business. I did everything that was recommended to me at the time. At times in that first year, there were definitely points when I felt deflated, packing up my products after another failed one-to meeting or having driven miles to a no-show. So I have a very clear memory after driving home one night after one of our region trainings that used to be in Surrey, the only one in the country, and obviously the days before Zoom, so you had to get there. I was driving back up this pitch black lane in a random village in Surrey after being at a meeting with people that I didn't really know. My sponsor had quit after the first few weeks of me starting my business. So I was driving my little Corsa with the petrol on red, which it always was, thinking, please don't run out. And suddenly, this overwhelming feeling of pride coming over me. This was about 12 months into my business. And at this point, I'd still not had one yes. But I thought, I'm still here. I haven't quit. Most people would have quit by now. And I knew from that moment on, I was an Arbonne lifer. No matter how long it took, if I had to walk the GTC stage with a Zimmer frame, I was getting to nation. Now, you can obviously see that the story ends well. Someone eventually said yes because here I am speaking to you. But it took getting through 154 no's, in person, one-to-ones that is, and to get the first yes. And let me tell you, that first yes and every single one since, I am overwhelmed with gratitude that they've trusted me, and I will continue to strive to be my best for those people. In that first year, I developed highly disciplined habits towards personal growth. I could see it was essential for me to get anywhere in this business. I got up every morning around 5 a.m. before I went to work, and I would do what I called my hour of power. So reading, affirmations, visualization, journaling, meditation. I soon started to see a change in me. And that's when I became totally addicted to personal development. People started to notice the change in me. And in fact, the main reason people started to join my business. I can honestly say with the greatest integrity, I am so grateful for my own journey. When you're living it, yeah, it's challenging, but I can promise you this, no one else will have it and someone else will need it. Your exact story will be the inspiration for years to come. Make it part of your mission to embrace every part about it. I cannot put into words my gratitude for this company and my business and all that it's given me and my family. I am deeply in love with this community. I can't imagine where I would be without it. In fact, I do. I'd be completely crazy, to be honest. But without the mindset and the personal development, I know how blessed I am to be someone that is living their life with purpose and feeling like I am contributing in some way. All the studies on happiness out there conclude that those three things that contribute most overall to happiness are community, personal growth, and purpose. That is what Arbonne is to me. Everything else is just a bonus. So I'd love to share with you some key lessons I've learned over the last 12 years that helped me. There are 10 for you A-type personalities. So here we go. So when I was dancing professionally, in between contracts to pay the rent, I did all kinds of strange soul-destroying jobs. And one of those was for a will writing company. My job was to get people to give me their details so the company could send them a brochure on their services. I had a little stand and I would be in various shopping centres around London and I would ask shoppers passing by, excuse me, madam, have you thought about writing your will yet? Shout at them across the shopping centre. I mean, you can imagine, I didn't always get the kindest responses, but I genuinely thought I was offering people a solution. I believe passionately everyone should have a will written. I would get lots of interesting responses, like the eye rolls and the how rude, and sometimes downright verbal attacks, to be honest. And at first it was horrible. But over time I learned I couldn't let them affect my action because I had a target to hit and rent to pay. So this was such a big lesson for me. And the first lesson that I want to share with you is lesson number 1. Let go of what other people think of you. Don't let it take you off track. When I started Arbonne years later, there were some unkind, rude comments at first and they knocked me. And then over the years, I just learned to realise that reaction was created because of the person that they were. Nothing to do with me. Their experiences, their limited knowledge, their lack of education on how our business model, etc., worked had caused them to have that reaction. It was within them and I couldn't control it or change it. So I let go of that energy, thanked them kindly and moved on. If you truly know what you have in your hands, other people's opinions are just that, an opinion, not fact. And you have to know that's not mine. It also really taught me about the second lesson I want to share, knowing your numbers. I had a daily sales target to hit, which was based on the footfall, the amount of people that walked past me in the shopping centre. Then from that number, they knew the average of how many people I should request information. So I figured out all I had to do is ask every single person that walked past. No one got past me, believe me. It always amazed me. If I asked every single person, I was always hitting my sales target. There was the law of average. I didn't prejudge or miss someone out because they weren't a typical candidate. I just asked everyone the question. I didn't get attached to the outcome. When I started my Arbonne business, I had so much belief in the law of averages from this experience. Things that will keep you on track. Knowing your numbers. Work out what your personal average is. How many people do you need to ask, which results in how many presentations, which will result in how many independent consultants or referred clients. Once you know that, you can create powerful strategic goals. Normally, we are deluded about the amount we actually need to do to get a result. So a call to action here for you is start tracking your business. It can feel like a big extra time consumer, but you'll be so grateful in years to come. And a really great app to do that is Trello. So have a look into Trello, a great way to track your business. So a third lesson I learned from this valuable life experience was to master the power of focus. Don't get distracted. I would sometimes share the stand with other people if it was a busy shopping centre. And I have to tell you, I learned so much from watching what other people did, most of the time what they weren't doing. So they'd be on the phone and they'd be off to get a coffee and they'd want to chat. And I was having none of it. I was completely focused on not letting one person pass me by. I used to think and sometimes say out loud to them, if you just ask every person that walks past, you'll get your target. And they either weren't bothered or didn't believe me. But what I learned was don't get involved with the aisle chit chat. Stay focused on what I was there to do, and I always hit that target. I say this to my success line all the time, but the people who will have the most success in these coming years are the people who develop the ability of focus. And in this world of numerous distractions, it will be a superpower. By nature, my middle name is Sarah Distracted Dunning. If you watched Finding Nemo, I'm basically the human Dory. I've worked on it now. So I had to work hard at this skill, and it will be essential for you to set a clear schedule for each week. This is more likely to work if you stick to the same times each day and each week. Use alarms on your phone to keep you to time on certain tasks. Once you have that weekly schedule for building your business, persist with it. Practice it again and again. If it didn't work one day, review it. Ask yourself why it didn't, and then go again tomorrow. It's going to take time to master that. So a call to action is take time to plan out your weekly schedule. What needs to go in there, and when will you build your Arbonne business? Then a checklist of what you need to do in that allotted time. So you're treating it like a business. Distraction from your goal is not only in the form of phones, it's also in the form of any drama. So create a culture in your business that you just don't do drama. That's not to say you don't listen to people and have compassion, but state facts, find a solution, move on. Lesson 4, don't let comparison take you off track. From doing thousands of coaching calls over the years, I would probably say this is one of our biggest challenges that takes people off course. Another key to staying on the journey is not to compare yourself to others. It's like comparing your fingerprint and getting really upset that you don't have the same one as someone else. For comparison to even be a little bit fair, you'd have to have the same parents, exactly the same experiences, the same challenges, the same networks, the same personalities. It's ridiculous when you think of it like that. There are a million components that make up your personal journey. So just decide to stop the comparison and be grateful for all the stories that you're acquiring along the way. So call to action, a great practice to master. In fact, one of the most powerful things you can teach yourself to do is when you see others having success, use that as an opportunity, make it go opportunity, and use it as a tool to imagine what they must feel like. And from that, you will feel for them and start to attract it to yourself. Lesson 5, master the business skills. The skill set you learn from your upline can only improve with practice. As much practice as you can do, and then self-reflection on how you can get better than you were yesterday. It's a relentless repetition that makes you an expert. Not reading the script over and over, but falling flat on your face over and over. However, you have to be conscious every day, every moment in fact, to make good choices. Connect the action with the ultimate outcome. I used to hate calling people on the phone, and that's what we did in 2008. You actually called people. I would stare at the name for what felt like hours, saying to myself, just press the green button, just press the green button. The only thought that ever made me do it was the reality of if I don't press that green button, my why, the reason I was doing this business was never going to become a reality. Make the right choice in that moment, according to what you want the outcome to be, not what you feel like there and then, because you never feel like doing it. Call to action is get into the habit of asking yourself on a daily basis, every action you take, is this putting me on the success curve or is this putting me on the failure curve? So be conscious and pause and ask yourself before you take the action. Number 6, lesson 6 is your inner state is the secret. Learning the skills is the relatively simple bit, but mastering your state, how you feel when you're doing those actions, is the game changer. I'm sure most of you will have read something on the law of attraction. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'd recommend the book as opposed to the audiobook because it requires studying. I believe that things work out for you if you can find the enjoyment in things. And acceptance of all things are exactly the way they're meant to be. If you're in a state of frustration or impatience or disappointment or anger, this is never gonna work. I recently read from my favourite book, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, which everybody knows I've been talking about this last few months. There are 3 states, 3 modalities you need to be in all the time with every task. They are acceptance, enjoyment, or enthusiasm. And he says, if you're not in one of those states, look closely around you and you'll find that you are creating suffering for yourself and others. Whatever you cannot enjoy doing, at least accept it. You may not always feel like sending messages or doing your social media content or doing a training call, except you will do it because it's what you need to do. Acceptance means you're in a state of peace whilst doing it. And peace is a subtle energy vibration. So enjoyment is the second state. Joy does not come from action outside of you, it flows from within you. Eckhart says, you will enjoy any activity in which you are fully present. Any activity that is just a means to an end. When there is a deep enjoyment for what you do, with an added element of a goal or a vision you're working towards, that is enthusiasm. That's the third modality. The energy field changes again. And I'm sure lots of us have felt that in Arbonne. But this is the challenge that some of you that have been here for a long while might relate to. This is the game changer. When you want to arrive at your goal more than you want to be doing what you're doing, the day-to-day activity of your business, you become stressed. It goes from potentially this amazing enthusiastic energy to a negative energy. Stress is a negative vibrational frequency. You fall out of alignment with universal purpose. And I so believe that's such a big challenge for so many people. So number 7, lesson 7, know the only constant is change. In the last 12 years, I could write a book on all the things that have happened that we never planned for, but thank goodness, or who knows where we'd be, probably faxing in forms and writing lots of brightly coloured emails. That's a joke for the old timers. So you will have to be adaptable in your Arbonne business. Get used to the only constant, which is change. Develop your mindset by working on yourself daily with personal development books and audios, so your mindset is in the best place to deal with anything coming your way. And a call to action here is, if you don't currently have a powerful daily personal development habit, get one. It's the thing. You have to do it. Please. It's going to be it makes such a big impact for you. So everyone can teach you something and everything can teach you something. Learn from all the challenges, all the obstacles, and be grateful for them. If this were easy, there would be no opportunity to become better. We would all just stay the same. With every challenge, you have the opportunity to look for the lesson. Under the greatest pressure, diamonds are made. There'll always be lots of little challenges, and that's why we're here, for our soul's growth and to learn from them. Lesson number 8, building a strong business takes time. Imagine if we had no idea how oak trees came about. And as you stood there next to the biggest oak tree, someone came over with a tiny little acorn and said, that came from this. You would laugh in their face and think, that's impossible. How can that be? So decide you're in it for the long haul. You know, I know it's probably going to take more work than you realised. I think one of the biggest challenges in this business is to keep going with the consistent action, even when you're seeing no results. It's just a trust that eventually this is going to come to fruition. Don't focus on the results you're seeing today to decide upon whether you should continue to take action. This is what commitment resolves. There is no question of quitting once you're committed. And lesson number 9, develop the habit of awareness. So when I started my Arbonne business, I attended a leadership training academy, and the person training on stage said, You've all got this internal dialogue that's constantly talking to yourself. And I vividly remember thinking, oh, that's interesting, I'd have one of those. I was literally a few days later, I was putting some washing away, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, that was the voice. That is the internal voice. And that was the beginning of a journey of self-awareness for me. I suddenly came to realise, in the most part, that voice really was not serving me at all. In fact, a lot of the time it was harsh, even cruel. So I soon learned one of the main aspects of changing your life was changing your inner critic to be your biggest cheerleader. For me, awareness was 90% of solving the problem. So a call to action for the next 7 days, become highly aware of that internal conversation you have with yourself. Just listen to it. And anything that's not serving you, stop that thought and actively choose another empowering thought that's going to serve you instead. So lesson number 10, fall in love with this company and this industry. This is mandatory. If you want this to work, you can't trick yourself either, but you can grow it daily or shrink it daily, depending on how you choose to think and react to things. Choose the right thought. And when you do, people will see and feel it. If not this, then what? Like, honestly. And if not now, then when? The stars will never be aligned. You will never have the perfect presentation, the perfect response to every question or objection. However, you can be crystal clear on what you're going to commit to. You can absolutely do the daily action this business requires. Of course you can. So let everyone around you know, this is it for me. You watch. I will make this work. Be courageous. Declare it. I'll stay up longer. I'll work harder. I'll show up always. I'll strive for excellence. I'll wake up earlier. I'll keep my blinkers on, and nothing will blur my vision. And I'll do it in a state of constant optimism and joy and a huge amount of fun. We will change this profession for the better. We will be the new standard in the industry. We will change perceptions and show everyone what is possible. You are a part of a movement. You are a part of history in the making. Stand proud and share with everyone our beautiful, incredible company, Arbonne.